Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I am Deepika, and coming up in the next 1 hour. Weapons in Syria to be under government control, says Syrian leader in latest announcement. Syria to further announce new structure of defence ministry and military soon. Thousands protest in Serbia against government as anger mounts over railway station roof collapse that killed 15. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi distributes more than 71,000 appointment letters to newly appointed recruits, says development of the country happens through its youth. And New York sees first major December snowfall in the year. On the other hand, cold conditions intensify across some regions of northern India. Good afternoon to all our viewers, and now let's begin with the top story of the day. Now, Syria's rebel leader Ahmad al-Shara is moving ahead to tighten his grip on his country. His latest announcement to bring all arms under state control is a big step in this direction. Shara held a meeting with Turkey's foreign minister, and this is his first meeting with a foreign dignitary since he ousted Bashar al-Assad. Speaking at a joint press conference, Shara outlined ambitious steps for Syria's rebuilding, security and political future. Here's more on the developments.
2 weeks after seizing control of Damascus, Syria's new leader, Ahmad al-Shara, has pledged to bring all weapons under state control, a key step in consolidating power and ensuring stability. During a joint press conference with Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan, Shara announced the dissolution of armed factions, including Kurdish-led forces, and their integration into a unified national army.
Within days, the Defense Ministry will be announced and a committee of high-level military leaders will be formed to design a new structure for the new Syrian army. Following that, the factions will begin to announce their dissolution and integration gradually. We will not by any means allow for arms outside the control of the state. It is the top of our priorities to work on controlling arms in the country, and I think there is a wide agreement among the factions.
Turkey's foreign minister expressed his country's readiness to support Syria in its rebuilding efforts. He also stressed the need for lifting international sanctions on Damascus.
There is no doubt about Syria's territorial integrity and unity, and there can never be any. In our talks today, we confirmed our mutual will on this issue. I would like to emphasize once again that there is no place for the Kurdish militants in Syria. This territorial organization is occupying the land of Syrian people and stealing its natural resources.
Shara also emphasized the protection of minorities, vowing to prevent sectarian violence. This message of unity echoed in Damascus, where Muslims and Christians gathered to celebrate at a vibrant Christmas market.
This Christmas atmosphere this year is very beautiful. This year, the ambience is even more joyful because Syria was liberated and our problems have finally been resolved.
Muslims are coming to the Christian markets more than the Christians. We have always celebrated both Christian and Muslim holidays together, and this has not changed at all since the revolution. In the contrary, you feel that people are now happier and more comfortable.
Syria's nearly 14-year-old civil war has left profound devastation. As Ahmad al-Shara steps into leadership, his promises of reform and unity are being seen as a fresh start for a country long torn by conflict. The next few weeks will be critical in determining if Syria can truly rebuild and turn a new page in its history. Bureau Report, DD India.
And now to discuss more on this, I'm joined by DD India correspondent on international affairs, Jessica Taneja from Newsroom. Good afternoon, Jessica. First of all, help us understand the key underlines of the fact that all the weapons will be now controlled by the state.
That's correct. You heard it from the leader himself. In fact, it comes at a time where he held his first press conference. Mohammad Al-Julani, formerly known as the head of the HTS, now goes by the name of Ahmad Al-Shara. And now he is at the helm of affairs of Syria. And you heard his statement, which was given alongside the Turkish foreign minister, who also sort of spoke on the issue in Syria and what all was discussed. So, of course, prioritization is to stabilize Syria, bring in a constitution, protect the minorities. Now, this is what the new leader of Syria, formerly known as Mohammad Al-Julani, now Ahmad Al-Shara, had to say while sharing the press conference room with his Turkish counterpart. And these are important statements coming out of the Syrian leader just a few days after meeting with the American diplomats and also seeking the lifting of international sanctions on Syria, which he said something that was imposed in the 1970s ever since the Bashar al-Assad family and his father had taken over the reins and continued to rule Syria with an iron fist for the last 50 to 55 years. And with their ouster now, Al-Julani, the rebel who led this entire, operation up to the city of Damascus, which is the capital, to capture and throw away the previous political regime set in by Bashar al-Assad and the dynasty that was. Things have now rapidly changed in Syria with more engagement and expectations, of course, primarily of lifting of the sanctions so that political relations of Syria with other leaders can be formalized. However, the question remains about the kind of factionalism that you see in Syria because of the various rebel groups that participated in overthrowing the Assad regime and have been working tirelessly to have their own gains in various regions. You saw the ISIS uprising, and then, of course, ISIS defeated and new factions emerged. So how to get a grip of the factions is something that this government at the helm of affairs right now, former HTS chief, who in fact held a bounty on his head by the US, is now the de facto leader and would continue to negotiate. One will only have to wait and see on how various negotiations move forward. Deepika?
Also, Jessica, what could be the possible highlights of the awaited structural announcement on defense as well as military?
Right, and Syria will see a drastic change in its entire fabric, not just the social fabric, but also the political fabric, and the leaders who will now move ahead and negotiate for normalization of ties with Syria. Now, the priority of this government is to first bring in a constitution in accordance with keeping all the minority rights in place, especially keeping the Turkish concerns on the YPG forces who should be kept at bay. And of course, that's another discussion with America as a NATO ally as well. But for the Turkish interest, that has to be kept in mind. And of course, also Israel's involvement in Syria and alleged questions of territorial sovereignty also to be addressed within the Syrian regime that is now at the helm of affairs. Perhaps military and defense would be, settled in no time, given the formalization, the speed of formalization of political setup that we're witnessing in Syria. It doesn't seem to be long when we'll know on how these negotiations move forward and which forces are promoted and which factions are kept at bay in order to prevent any kind of turmoil in the future, because Syria right now is looking for not just political stabilization but also economic stabilization. Along with that, making sure that there are various rebel factions do not get out of control and there is some form of stability that brings in peace and prosperity after all. Because you saw what happened since 2011 with the Arab Spring and the brutality of the regime towards the Syrian people as and when they have, taken to the streets to protest against the family and its rule and its imposition of force and various other chemical weapons used as well in the past. So the people have suffered too much. The question of Syrian refugees remains, especially for the Turkish, on how to be ensuring that those refugees now return home to a country which is economically stable and prevents them from further dispersion.
All right, thank you so much, Jessica, for joining us and bringing us the latest on this developing story. Moving on, now Russian President Vladimir Putin hosted Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico at the Kremlin on Sunday as a contract allowing for Russian gas to transit through Ukraine near its expiry date. Now, Slovakia, heavily dependent on Russian gas, fears supply disruptions with the Ukraine transit contract expiring year-end. Ukraine has made it clear it will not renew the transit contract. While Fico mentioned that Putin had confirmed Russia's readiness to continue to supply gas to the west and to Slovakia. Fico posted on social media that Sunday's meeting was in response to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's opposing any transit of gas through Ukraine to the territory. The two leaders also discussed the conflict in Ukraine just hours after Putin had warned of harsh reprisals against Kyiv over a drone attack. Now, President-elect Donald Trump threatened to reassert U.S. control over the Panama Canal, accusing Panama of charging excessive rates to use the Central American Passage, which allows ships to cross between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. Speaking to a crowd of supporters in Arizona on Sunday, Donald Trump also said he would not let the canal fall into the wrong hands, warning of potential Chinese influence on the passage. Trump's comments came hours after he leveled a similar threat against Panama in a post on Truth Social on Saturday night.
We will never, ever let it fall into the wrong hands, but it's falling into the wrong hands. It was not given for the benefit of others by a token of cooperation, but it was given to Panama and to the people of Panama. But it has provisions. You got to treat us fairly, and they haven't treated us fairly. If the principles, both moral and legal, of this magnanimous gesture of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States of America in full, quickly, and without question.
Now, moments after Donald Trump doubled down on his plans to take back the Panama Canal, Panama's president said that the canal will remain under his country's control. In a video posted on social media, Jose Raul Molino rejected Trump's claims that the United States could retake the waterway. He also disputed Trump's complaints that the U.S. vessels were being charged unfair and exorbitant fee to travel through the canal.
Canal no tiene control directo.
The canal is not controlled directly or indirectly by China, the European Community, the United States, or any other power. As a Panamanian, I reject any statement that misrepresents this reality. The canal will continue to be in Panamanian hands as the patrimony of our nation and guaranteeing its use for the peaceful and uninterrupted transit of ships of all nations.
Uso para el tránsito pacífico.
Now, Trump would also nominate Mauricio Claver-Carrón to serve as a special envoy to Latin America. He was fired from a previous position for allegedly having an affair with a subordinate. Trump said Claver-Carrón would help address migration and drug smuggling issues. He was the first American to serve as the head of the bank. In that role, he had tried to wrest power away from Argentina and Brazil that have dominated its agenda in the past and provide more of a role for smaller countries. But he was fired in 2022 as the head of the Inter-American Development Bank after an investigation found he had an intimate relationship with the staffer. Investigators also found that Claver created a hostile environment at the bank. He denied having an affair, however. Now, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump continues to pick his loyalists for his new administration. New addition to the list is Katie Miller. She's a veteran of Trump's first administration who served as the Deputy Press Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security and later as Press Secretary for former Vice President Mike Pence. Katie will be one of the first members of the advisory board to be led by billionaire allies Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy that aims to drastically slash government spending, federal regulations and the federal workforce. She is also the wife of Stephen Miller, Trump's incoming Deputy Chief of Staff and Homeland Security Advisor. Her appointment to the Department of Government Efficiency, Doshi, highlights her deep ties to Trump's inner circle and her experience navigating the complexities of Washington bureaucracy. Now, Musk and Ramaswamy recently revealed plans to wipe out scores of federal regulations crafted by what they say is an anti-democratic, unaccountable bureaucracy, but have yet to announce members of the Doshi team. Now, meanwhile, Donald Trump told the supporters on Sunday that his billionaire ally Elon Musk was not taking the presidency, as he said his opponents are trying to suggest. Now, Trump has tasked Musk, the world's richest person, with heading a budget-cutting task force, but he will hold no official position in Washington.
But I will order federal workers to get back to the office in person or be terminated from the job immediately. And we will create the new Department of Government Efficiency, headed by Elon Musk. And no, he's not taking the presidency. I like having smart people. You know, they're on a new kick. Russia, 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 Ukraine, 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 all the different hoaxes. And the new one is, President Trump has ceded the presidency to Elon Musk. No, no, that's not happening. But Elon's done an amazing job. Isn't it nice to have smart people that we can rely on? Right? Don't we want that? He's done a great job.
All right, time to take a short break, but still to come on DD India News Hour. Gulf countries imposes indefinite ban on granting visas to people from at least 30 different cities of Pakistan. Small plane carrying 10 people crashes in Brazil. All aboard are dead. And tributes continue to pour in for Germany's Magdeburg Christmas market attack victims. Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Now, support for Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau within his Liberal Party seems to be weakening as former allies reveal that more members of the caucus are urging him to step down. Now, Trudeau has faced several setbacks recently, including the unexpected resignation of Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland, who reportedly disagreed with him over incoming US President Donald Trump's plans to impose 25% tariffs on Canadian imports. The United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia and several other Gulf countries have imposed an indefinite ban on granting visas to people from at least 30 different cities of Pakistan. The decision follows an alarming rise in number of cases where Pakistani nationals have been caught begging or being involved in smuggling, drug trafficking, human trafficking and other criminal offences abroad. The Gulf countries and cities, especially Dubai and Abu Dhabi, remain the most preferred destinations for millions of Pakistani travellers and the job seekers. Now, tens of thousands of people gathered in central Belgrade on Sunday to protest against President Aleksandar Vučić and his ruling Serbian Progressive Party. The party was blamed for a railway station roof collapse last month that killed 15 people. The protesters switched on the lights of their mobile phones and stood in silence for 15 minutes to commemorate the victims. Opposition leaders and the public have taken to the streets repeatedly, blaming the accident on shoddy construction resulting from government corruption and nepotism. The ruling coalition denies those charges, and Vucic has said those responsible must be held to account. In southern Brazil, a small plane carrying 10 people crashed into shops in the center of the tourist city of Gramado on Sunday, killing everyone aboard. The aircraft owner and pilot died along with other 9 passengers, all of whom were members of his family. In addition, 17 people on the ground were injured, with 12 still receiving hospital care, including 2 in critical condition. Manufactured in the year 1990, the twin-engine Piper took off from nearby Canela Airport and was heading to Jundiaí in Sao Paulo state under unfavorable weather conditions. Cause of the crash is being investigated by the Aeronautical Accident Investigation and Prevention Center. Meanwhile, in another incident at Brazil, a bridge connecting 2 states in northern and northeastern regions collapsed on Sunday as vehicles were crossing, killing at least 1 person and spilling sulfuric acid after a truck carrying the acid plunged into the Tocantins River. According to the fire department, 1 person has been confirmed dead and another was rescued alive. In Germany, tributes started pouring as residents gathered in front of the church close to the Magdeburg Christmas market on Sunday to show their sympathy with the victims and their relatives of the attack that killed 5 and injured scores. A man suspected of plowing a car through crowds at the market faces multiple charges of murder and attempted murder. Friday evening's attack in the central city of Magdeburg shocked the country and stirred up tensions over the charged issue of immigration. All right, now to discuss more on this, I'm joined by Lars Holter, who's with us joining from Deutsche Welle, and he's joining us from Berlin, an hour from where all this happened. Lars, what can you tell us about this market and what exactly happened over there?
Thanks for having me. Well, first of all, I should probably clarify what exactly a Christmas market is. They're very popular here in Germany and the rest of Europe. It is a much smaller phenomenon in the rest of the world, if at all. So the month leading up to Christmas, pretty much every town here has their little market where often arts and handicrafts are sold, wood carvings, knitted or felted clothing, home decorations, often, of course, with a Christmassy theme. There's also food and Glühwein. That's a spiced hot wine. It is very good, and people usually just gather at these markets, not just to shop, but to celebrate the season. Now, this market in Magdeburg was in full swing with hundreds of people in attendance when a man drove his car right into the crowd. It's a tight crowd, of course, very little room to jump aside, so the man plowed down dozens of people who didn't have a chance to react. 5 are dead, around 20 are badly injured. It's a horrible attack, and it's reminiscent of a similar attack in Berlin 8 years ago when a terrorist also drove a truck into the crowd at a Christmas market here. Of course, this is a constant reminder that terror attacks, large and small, can happen anywhere at any time.
Also, Lars, we would like to understand that how was this attack even possible, given that such mass events really tend to be protected?
That's the big question, of course. Ever since that Berlin attack 5 years ago, Christmas markets have been fortified. There's always huge concrete barriers surrounding the markets. And at first it bothered people because it's hard to not let these protective measures ruin your Christmas spirit. But I guess everyone got used to it, and sometimes they're disguising the concrete barriers to make them look a bit nicer and almost decorative. However, now in Magdeburg, those barriers were placed so far apart that cars actually fit through them. The local authorities said that was on purpose so that emergency vehicles could get in and out if necessary, but that's obviously a big mistake. Usually the barriers are placed with maybe a police car or something of the like in the middle, so they can be opened and closed like gates. Now it's come out that the police really used their cars in a wrong formation, making this attack now even more tragic because it very much looks like this could have been prevented.
And what do we know about the attacker, Lars? Who is exactly he and what made him to do this, Lars?
Incredibly interesting point. The attacker is a 50-year-old man named Taleb al-Abdul Mohsen. He's a Saudi citizen who's lived in Germany since 2006. In fact, he lived in a town nearby and worked in a hospital there as a doctor. Now, similar terror attacks in the past have often had an Islamistic background, were tied to the so-called Islamic State or similar groups. And here, the attacker is apparently an Islam critic. Some have called him an Islam hater. He has often protested about the regime in Saudi Arabia, the treatment of women there, and he has complained about Germany accepting more Saudis and generally Muslims into the country. He has made threats before when he was in contact with authorities. He has been in court before, so he was already seen as potentially dangerous. However, apparently at a level where police could not have yet legally intervened. The attacker was apprehended right after the attack. He's in jail now, and we will certainly find out more about what made him commit this horrible attack.
All right, thank you so much, Lars, for joining us and bringing us the latest on this developing story. Moving on. Now, French rescue workers are seen treating the wounded in Kafeni, Mayotte, after the devastation caused by Cyclone Chido. As a video released by French Civil Security Services on Sunday showed recovery efforts where children and adults were seen receiving medical treatment from the rescue workers, with some having cuts cleaned and bandaged. Officials in Mayotte have only been able to confirm 35 fatalities from Cyclone Chido, but some have said they fear thousands could have been killed. Health workers say they are bracing for a surge of disease as dead bodies lie unburied and people struggle to get clean drinking water. So Cyclone Chido killed at least 94 people in Mozambique in its deadly rampage through the Indian Ocean last week, raising a previous death toll of 76. The cyclone, which devastated the French island territory of Mayotte before hitting the African mainland, also destroyed thousands of homes in Mozambique. It comes as the southern African nation reels from a deadly post-election crisis, pitting the party in power since Mozambique's independence from Portugal against an opposition crying foul over alleged electoral fraud. Moving on, New York City was covered in snow as the U.S. National Weather Service reported the first measurable December snowfall since 2021 on Saturday. Some areas saw 3 to 4 inches of snow, while eastern parts of the state received about 1 inch. Upstate New York experienced lake effect snow during the week of 13th of December, dumping 2 to 3 feet of snow in the Lake View area near the Canadian border. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the globe. In Morocco's Rabat, 99 schools were recognized under the Eco Schools program for the 2023-24 academic year. During a ceremony supported by the Mohammed VI Foundation, 26 schools received the green flag, 32 earned the silver certificate, and 41 were awarded with the bronze certificate. The restored Trevi fountain was unveiled in Rome on Sunday after over 2 months of cleaning and restoration in preparation for the city's 2025 Roman Catholic Holy Year. The work included the removal of dirt, pollution, iron oxide and limescale. The 18th century monument is one of the city's most iconic tourist attractions. Throughout the restoration, visitors were able to view from a temporary footbridge. Vietnam's first subway, built with Japan's help, opened in Ho Chi Minh City on Sunday. The 20-kilometer railway aims to elevate traffic congestion and air pollution. The project, which is partly elevated and partly underground, underscores the strong Vietnam-Japan cooperation. The inaugural ceremony was attended by around 500 people, with the Japan International Cooperation Agency providing funding and Japanese companies contributing to construction. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on DD India News Hour. Up next is a special report on Kisan Divas. All eyes on INS Tushil as it arrives in London on her maiden passage to India. And preparations in full swing for Mahakumbh 2025. Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. And now it's time to quickly recap the top headlines of the hour. Weapons in Syria to be under government control, says Syrian leader in latest announcement. Syria to further announce new structure of defense ministry and military soon. Thousands protest in Serbia against government as anger mounts over railway station roof collapse that killed 15. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi distributes more than 71,000 appointment letters to newly appointed recruits, says development of the country happens through its youth. And New York sees first major December snowfall in year. On the other hand, cold conditions intensify across some regions of northern India. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi handed out over 71,000 appointment letters to newly recruited individuals across various central government departments via video conferencing on Monday as part of the ongoing Rozgar Mela. Addressing the event, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the new job opportunities were created in the rural areas through many government initiatives. The event aims to provide meaningful employment opportunities, empowering youth and encouraging their active role in nation building. The initiative underscores government's commitment to prioritizing employment generation. The Rozgar Mela is being conducted at 45 locations across India.
जब सरकार ने इथेनॉल की ब्लेंडिंग को 20% तक बढ़ाने का फैसला किया तो इससे किसानों को मदद तो हुई ही, शुगर सेक्टर में नई नौकरी के भी मौके बने। जब हमने 9,000 के लगभग किसान उत्पाद संगठन बनाए, एफपीओज बनाए, तो इससे किसानों को नया बाजार बनाने में मदद मिली और ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में रोजगार भी बने।
Emphasizing on the importance of women empowerment, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said his government opened Jan Dhan accounts for 30 crore women, enabling them to directly benefit from government schemes.
हमारी सरकार ने 30 करोड़ महिलाओं के जनधन खाते खोले, जिससे उन्हें सरकार की योजनाओं का सीधा फायदा मिलने लगा। मुद्रा योजना से महिलाओं को बिना गारंटी लोन मिलने लगा। महिलाएं पूरे घर को संभालती थी, लेकिन संपत्ति उनके नाम पर नहीं होती थी। आज पीएम आवास योजना के तहत मिलने वाले ज्यादातर घर महिलाओं के ही नाम पर है।
Now, Kisan Divas or National Farmers Day is celebrated on the 23rd of December every year. And this day marks the birth anniversary of Bharat Ratna Chaudhry Charan Singh, a key leader who fought for the rights of the farmers. He played a major role in improving the lives of farmers across India. Here's more.
National Farmers' Day is celebrated on the 23rd of December to mark the birth anniversary of the 5th Prime Minister of India, Chaudhry Charan Singh. The day honours and appreciates farmers for their contributions to society and holds special significance. The strength and vitality of a nation's farmers, often referred to as Annadatas, is closely linked to the overall empowerment and prosperity of the country. The sincere efforts of the Government of India to uplift this crucial segment of society warrants commendation and recognition. India is the world's largest producer of milk, pulses and jute and ranks as the second largest producer of rice, wheat, sugarcane, groundnut, vegetables, fruit and cotton. It is also one of the leading producers of spices, fish, poultry, livestock and plantation crops. Commitment to live up to its name of Krishi Pradhan Desh. Farmers across the nation are experiencing a newfound sense of economic security and assurance, showing the government's farmer-centric focus. The budget set aside for agriculture increased 5 times from 1.37 lakh crore rupees during 2007-14 to 7.27 lakh crore rupees during 2014 to 2025. Infrastructure near the farms is key to farmers' welfare. Since the inception of the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund, rupees 35,262 crores have been sanctioned for 48,352 projects. Major projects sanctioned under Agriculture Infrastructure Fund include 11,165 warehouses, 10,307 primary processing units, 10,948 custom hiring centers, 2,420 sorting and grading units, 1,486 cold store projects, 169 assaying units and around 11,857 other kinds of post-harvest management projects and a historic MSP increase. Initiatives and endeavors. The Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana has become the largest crop insurance scheme in the world in terms of farmer enrollments, as well as the third largest scheme in the world in terms of insurance premiums. The government has formulated the agriculture export policy in the country for the first time. This has led to agriculture exports reaching up to 4 lakh crore rupees, with scope for further advancement. The government is promoting cooperatives in agriculture. Therefore, a Ministry of Cooperation has been established for the first time in the country. To ensure faster growth of the sector, the government is promoting private and public investment in post-harvest activities including aggregation, modern storage, efficient supply chains. Till December 19, 2023, 23.58 crore soil health cards have been distributed to farmers. India's global dominance extends across agricultural commodities, making it the largest producer of milk, pulses and spices worldwide. Given opportunities and an appropriate policy setting, India's farmers have demonstrated their capability to meet the food demands of the rest of the world. Abhishek Mahajan's report for DD India.
India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankad on Monday paid tribute to former Prime Minister Chaudhry Charan Singh on his birth anniversary at Kisan Ghat in New Delhi. Union Minister of State and grandson of Chaudhry Charan Singh, Jayant Chaudhary, was also present on the occasion. Calling the farmers as Annadata, the provider of food, and Vidhata, or the creator of India, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankad said that 2025 will mark 25 years since the inception of Kisan Divas, or Farmers' Day, and the government need to organize year-round activities to prioritize the welfare of the farmers.
देश में 730 से ज्यादा कृषि विज्ञान केंद्र हैं। एक विज्ञान केंद्र 5000 से ज्यादा किसानों को लाभ देता है। आज मैं मानकर चलता हूं कि हर कृषि विज्ञान केंद्र में किसानों का जमावड़ा होगा। उनको जरूर आमंत्रित किया होगा, उनको जागरूक किया होगा, क्योंकि आज हम ऐसे समय दुनिया में रह रहे हैं जहां भारतवर्ष के लिए, जहां दुनिया की 1/6 आबादी रहती है, 5000 साल से ज्यादा की सांस्कृतिक विरासत है।
Now, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tribute to former Prime Minister and Bharat Ratna awardee Chaudhry Charan Singh on his birth anniversary and commemorated the legacy of his leadership and commitment to the nation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlighted Chaudhry Charan Singh's unparalleled dedication to the welfare of the farmers and the rural communities. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also acknowledged the late leader's tireless efforts in advocating agricultural reforms and rural development that continue to shape India's policies today. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the country. In a major breakthrough, a joint operation by police forces of Uttar Pradesh and Punjab busted a Pak-sponsored Khalistan Zindabad Force terror module. During the encounter, 3 terrorists have been killed in Pilibhit district. Some police officials sustained injuries and were brought to the hospital. Now, this module was involved in grenade attacks at Gurdaspur police station. 2 AK-47 rifles and 2 Glock pistols have also been recovered. Union Minister of Power and Housing and Urban Affairs Manohar Lal Khattar is in Kavarati to participate in a special review meeting with senior officials regarding various city energy projects and urban developments which are in progress in Lakshadweep. The minister had arrived in Lakshadweep on Sunday. The Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, visited Prayagraj on Monday to review the preparations of the upcoming Mahakumbh, which is to be held in January next year. Chief Minister Yogi also performed puja and aarti at the Sangam. The Chief Minister inspected the preparations for the upcoming event and also held a meeting with the officials. India's latest guided missile stealth frigate INS Sushil has arrived in London on her maiden passage to India. The visit marks a significant milestone in the growing naval cooperation between the Indian Navy and Royal Navy with an aim to strengthen bilateral ties and enhance exchange of best practices. Weather updates now. As temperatures started declining in the northern region of India, many places are experiencing temperatures below 0 degrees. Srinagar district of the Union Territory has been experiencing lower temperatures since past few days, with fog blanketing almost every area. The Indian Meteorological Department recorded -7 degrees as on the 23rd of December for the city. Lakes and other water bodies have already frozen, with chilly winds forcing people to stay indoors mostly. Severe cold wave predictions have been given out by the IMD starting the 24th December. And talking about the northern Indian city of Shimla, it has transformed into a winter wonderland wrapped up in a pristine blanket of snow after heavy snowfall in the region. The picturesque scenes have raised hopes for a white Christmas in the state's capital. According to the State Meteorological Department, light rain is also expected in isolated areas of the plains and lower regions, adding to the charm of the season. And now to discuss more on this, I am joined by DD India correspondents from Shimla and Srinagar. Good afternoon to both our correspondents. First of all, I would like to come to you. Talking about Shimla, when we talk about the weather is getting really close and cold. But what is the weather IMD prediction is saying about the weather there, and what are the likely steps which the common people are taking to protect themselves from this changing weather?
Deepika, Shimla is covered with the snow right now, and it is looking no less than winter wonderland, as you said. And it has been a blessing for the tourists and the localites. They weren't expecting snowfall today in Shimla and in around adjoining regions, but the Monday morning came as a blessing for the people. Though IMD issued the possibility for snowfall in higher regions, but in and around Shimla there weren't possibility of snowfall. There were likely rainfall to happen. But as I said, it turned out to be a blessing and gift for the tourists who are coming for a white Christmas in Shimla. And people are very happy, not only tourists, but localites as well, because Himachal has been under a dry spell for a very long time. Since the monsoon, there were very less rains in Himachal. But this snowfall has turned out to be a blessing for farmers especially. They were worried about their crops getting ruined, but here we are. And I would like my cameraman to pan the camera so you can see how beautiful Shimla is looking right now. The oak trees are filled with the snowfall, and the tourists are happy, locals are happy, and locals are taking precautions. They are staying indoors for right now, because local buses and everything is running. But according to IMD, as you said, there are possibility for rain and snowfall till 27th and 28th December. So not only white Christmas, we can also get a white New Year this time.
Indeed, Muskan, those were the beautiful visuals that you just showed our viewers. And now let's go across to Srinagar also, where Shabir Das is present. Shabir, when we talk about the weather there, it is breaking records this time when we talk about the previous years and the past records that we've seen in weather conditions. What is the current situation there right now?
Yeah, obviously, as you said, the winter this year is breaking all the previous records. We have, last night, I mean, the Friday and Saturday night was minus 8 degrees centigrade was recorded in the night. That was the coldest night in 50 years. So obviously this winter is breaking all records. Kashmir is in the intense, cold wave, and the temperature plummeting to sub-zero temperature, and everything is, the water bodies, the taps have been, they have blocked, and people are facing obviously the tough time this time, because Kashmir is also facing the electricity crisis also, because the supply and demand is a huge gap in the electricity supply and demand, and government is making all measures to give people some relief, because electricity is a big issue this winter, as where we always said that this winter is breaking all previous records, because snow is not here as of now, but intense cold wave and sub-zero temperatures and the electricity crisis is making this winter very, difficult for the local. But tourists and, visitors are enjoying it here in Gulmarg and in upper regions, because there was some snow in the upper areas like Gulmarg and Pahalgam areas, where tourists are obviously enjoying. But government has issued advisories to people, because it is in the mornings, the roads are slippery, because everything that's freezed. And
all right,
advisories have been issued to the people to ensure that they drive safely.
All
the
right.
vehicles have been asked.
All right. One quick last question to Muskan. Muskan, how is the tourist footfall looking like there in Shimla, considering the beautiful scenes which we just saw?
Deepika, according to administration, Shimla is expecting to have around 5 lakh vehicles entering in Shimla for the next 5 to 10 days. And we have winter carnival starting from 24th December. So tourists are so excited to be here in Shimla at the time they have received this unexpected gift of snowfall. And they are very excited to be here. And of course, winter carnival is a treat for them. They have received this double gift. And it is going to be full packed. Tourists are already here. We can experience, currently roads are filled with the taxis. We are also experiencing traffic right now. But administration is doing their work. They are doing their best to keep the traffic moving, and so that people, localites and the tourist doesn't have to face much problems.
All right, double delight for the tourists, especially there in Shimla. Thank you so much, Muskan, and thank you so much, Shabir Dar, for joining us from Srinagar and Shimla and bringing us the latest weather updates. Thank you. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Up next, a quick update on global markets as Asian shares climb on Monday. In sports, Indian women lifts under-19 Women's Asia Cup trophy.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. After that short break, you're watching DD India News Hour with me, Deepika, and now it's time to get you all the latest from the world of business. Now, Asian shares climbed on Monday after a positive US inflation report raised hopes for potential policy easing next year. Markets also found relief as US successfully avoided a government shutdown. The rally lifted MSCI's Asia-Pacific Index by 0.3%, with Japan's Nikkei gaining 0.96% and South Korea's Kospi up 0.9%. Meanwhile, European markets faced pressure last week over tariff concerns, while US markets closed higher on Friday with the Dow Jones up 1.17%. Talking about the Indian market, Indian equity benchmarks opened strong on Monday, tracking positive global cues. At 2 p.m. according to Indian Standard Time, the BSE Sensex was higher by about 254 points. And the Nifty 50 was ahead by 94 points. Markets are drawing momentum from lower than expected US core inflation data, which offset the Federal Reserve's hawkish stance and lifted Wall Street shares on Friday. And now update from the world of sports. First, let's talk about cricket. Indian women lifted the Under-19 Women's Asia Cup trophy, defeating Bangladesh by 41 runs in Kuala Lumpur on Sunday. While batting first, India relied on opener G. Trisha's 52-run knock to post a total of 117 runs on the board. Mithila scored 17 runs for the Indian side and hammered 2 boundaries in the final over of India's innings. Ayushi Shukla and Sonam Yadav wreaked havoc with the ball, taking 3 and 2 wickets of the Bangladeshi side respectively. In reply, Bangladesh could only manage 76 runs in their 20 overs before succumbing to the Indian bowlers. Well, Indian women decimated West Indies by a mammoth 211 runs in the first one-day match in Vadodara on Sunday. Batting first, India posted imposing 314 for loss of 9 wickets. Smriti Mandhana was the architect of the innings as she struck a superb 91 and put up a 110-run partnership with Prateek Rawal for the opening wicket. Harleen Deol provided some substance through the middle, while Harmanpreet Kaur and Richa Ghosh led India's assault towards the back end. In reply to this, the West Indies innings never took off. Their top 4 batters departed for single figures, with both the openers getting ducks. Renuka Singh was the freaker-in-chief. She claimed her maiden 5-wicket haul. West Indies were eventually bundled out for just 103 runs. The second ODI between the two teams will take place on Tuesday at the same venue. Moving on. Now, Indian Film Festival honouring Raj Kapoor's legacy has kicked off in Moscow. RT correspondent Anastasia Volotina reports from the event. Take a look.
From the heart of the Russian capital and across to New Delhi, the Indian Film Festival has officially kicked off in Moscow, celebrating not only the magic of Indian cinema, but the timeless legacy of Raj Kapoor, the legendary producer, film director and actor, celebrating the 100th anniversary of his birth. This year's film festival is being held at Moscow's iconic Illusion Cinema. Over 3 days, the festival will showcase 6 diverse films organised by the Indian Embassy, the Russian Ministry of Culture and other government bodies. It honours the best of Indian cinema across multiple genres. The event is a spectacle of the diverse array of national award winners, regional gems and cutting-edge independent films, all underscoring the universal power of storytelling to break through geographical, cultural and linguistic divides. The festival will also feature renowned film personalities and performers and include panel discussion on the cooperation between Russia and India in film production, where producers, studio heads and film distributors from the two nations will take part.
Most of the actors in India, those who are trained actors or even untrained actors in drama school, we all have been inspired by Chekhov, Gorky, Tolstoy. So I'm very glad to be here in Moscow for the first time.
as far as Russian cinema is concerned, it has made everything. The theories of filmmaking came from Russia. Be it Pudovkin, Eisenstein, Tarkovsky, one of my favorite filmmakers. They all came from here.
The Indian Film Festival kicked off with a vibrant opening ceremony celebrating the day 100 years ago legendary actor and director Raj Kapoor was born. The event featured the unveiling of a book honoring him titled The Master at Work, as well as screening of one of his acclaimed films and a mesmerizing performance by the Moscow Conservatory Chamber Choir, all paying tribute to the enduring legacy of Kapoor's cinematic genius. Raj Kapoor's films, with their emotional depth and unforgettable music, have resonated not only with audiences in India, but transcended cultural boundaries, as his distinguished roles and direction have left an indelible mark on the world.
Indian movies have always been very popular in earlier Soviet Union, now Russia. And all Indian blockbusters, most of Indian movies are released here with Russian subtitles on a regular basis. A number of cinema halls show Indian movie very regularly. We promote that.
The Indian Film Festival salutes both the magic of Indian cinema and the enduring legacy of Raj Kapoor, proving the universal power of storytelling. Anastasia Volodina, RT from Moscow.
And before we let you go, India's public service broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT. Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you also want great content for free, then download Waves today. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.